How big's or how many artists or what's
how many
the size?
artists do we have? Well, I guess
you don't have to give out trade secrets.
No, that's fine. I guess because if you can imagine, our model is a flat fee for service model, so that means we're not making any money from the sales that those artists make. Yep. So our model is basically a volume-based model, so we need to be getting more and more content to distribute all of the time. So that means that at present our artist roster is sitting at about 3,000 artists. Yep. That includes labels as well. With sort of upwards of 25 to 30,000 tracks that we're distributing currently. That is actually quite a small distributor in terms of if you look at the other guys like IOTA and TuneCore and CD Baby and that sort of stuff. But what's great about that is that we're actually competing quite well on a global level with those guys in terms of our social media presence, in terms of the way that we interact with the industry and that sort of thing. In terms of the way we market ourselves, we're very proactive, and we try to model the kind of marketing that we try to model good marketing practice to our artists that would drive good digital sales. So,
I was going to ask you, because we need to go on, but are there any outstanding examples that you've got within your, that you've dealt with,
who market themselves well?
No. Just in the process of setting up Musicadium and running the business and all that sort of stuff that have really shone through this model, who in the older system may have fallen by the wayside.
Absolutely. There's a perfect example in Seth Century. I don't know if anyone has heard of Seth Century. He's an Australian hip-hop artist. Has a song called The Waitress Song. It got flogged on Triple J. Absolutely flogged. It's a pretty chilled out sort of hip-hop song. Seth has had no end of trouble trying to secure a physical distribution deal. Yes. No one wants to look at him at all. Signed up through Musicadium. It cost him, for his EP, his 5-track EP, it cost him $79 to get his music distributed. Sorry, I lied, plus $39 for a barcode. So what's that, just over 100? Yes. Just over 100. Makes about $1,200 a month.
I think that's
based on a couple of, radio players certainly helped him along with that.
Yes.
But even with the radio play, has still failed to secure physical distribution.
Yes.
So, even with a proven sales track record in the digital space, still finds it hard to even get looked at a physical distribution deal. So therein I can see right there that the traditional model is sort of failing that artist, where he now controls, and there's no one taking a slice of that. Yes. He's controlling that. He is doing he is running that and driving that, and it was brilliant. He came up to Brisbane. He played a show at the Chalk Hotel not that long ago. He dropped into the office one morning, and we got chatting with him, and he was saying it was brilliant because he is unemployed at the moment, and his royalties from Musicadium pays his rent. He doesn't have to worry about where he's living at the moment, and anything else that he gets is brilliant because he's now got a booking agent. Yes. He makes quite a significant amount out of live performance. He's got who's he touring with? M-Phases coming up soon, which is also another artist on Triple J that's getting quite a so he's doing quite well out of choosing that particular model for him. When it came through the office, I looked at him and went, it looks kind of cool, and we gave it a listen. Like, that's really great. And then, when it started getting played on Triple J, we were over the moon for him. Okay. And every time he gets a new one played on Triple J, his sales just go through the roof.
Okay, so we're going to come back and ask questions of the panel, right? So, Tim, I'm going to move on to Elliott and then we'll come back. So
too easy.
Don't turn off on us. Elliott, over to you, mate.
Okay. Mic's on. So I guess one of the things that I'm interested in is very similar sort of idea. This idea that the sort of distribution and production models that were common, not just in the music industry, but in a lot of the content industry, have drastically changed, and that the concept of scarcity, which had been built around these production and distribution methods, coupled with a sort of very specific way of looking at intellectual property and in particular copyright management, had created an environment where intermediaries controlled everything, basically, and that it was exceptionally difficult to break into that. And as the sort of cost of cheaper production and distribution technologies has emerged, supported by digital technologies, so too has the amount of money, or rather the opposite end, the decrease of the amount of money that intermediaries have made. And of course the death of music, as we all know, even though people are still playing music now. And one of the things that I'm particularly interested in is looking at this idea of piracy, and how we've had sort of 10 years of talking about piracy as a really bad thing, and, you know, all those dirty, horrible pirates killing the music industry, you know, literally stringing up Australian musicians, etc., etc. But I mean, one of the things that I think is interesting is that when you look at the core of piracy and what it is as a sort of exchange, it's still a value-based exchange in the same way that any other economic exchange is. It's an exchange based on want or desire, which is, you know, what an economic transaction is. So what I think is quite interesting, and what we need to do more of, is actually analyse how and why these kinds of relationships are occurring, and look at ways to incentivise people to want to continue to invest in creative content. So one of the things that we do with Creative Commons is I think my mic's dead, but anyway. So one of the things we do at Creative Commons is we provide a set of free copyright licenses that range in the flexibilities that they provide, to try to facilitate people making their content available for reuse, depending on what they want to do. So, you know, for a band that's using services like Musicadium and really pushing for digital sales, the extent of sales that they're going to make is going to be related to the amount of people who know about their stuff and give a shit about their stuff. Because, of course, if, you know, as they say about the digital environment, it's not piracy that you should be worried about, it's obscurity. If nobody knows your stuff, no one's going to buy it. They're probably not even going to pirate it. It's very good. I mean, if nobody's pirating your stuff, it's probably crap. Maybe you want to think about, you know, moving into accounting or something. Sorry, that's probably a little bit harsh, but what I mean is that piracy is a very valuable tool. It's an important way of understanding value exchange. What's more important is that in an environment where free is an easy option for getting access to content, you have to incentivize why people want to buy that content. Because if I have a choice between doing something that, yeah, okay, is technically illegal and I probably shouldn't do, but the likelihood, at least the perceived likelihood of being done for it is pretty low, what am I going to do? Like, do I drop and drag that photo off Facebook onto my desktop even though I probably know it's an infringement of copyright? Of course I do. It's the same as music downloading. Like, people download content because the threat of enforcement is not a real threat in their mind, even though it's actually a lot easier to be proven to infringe copyright than most Australians probably realise. The perceived threat is not there. And so in situations like that, you know, one of the things that we're very interested in the research that we do is looking at how and why and when people do purchase content, and why that's different to content that they get through other, often illegitimate means. So, I mean, one of the things that we sort of talk about is that, you know, you want to build connections with your fan base and give them reasons to buy. And so you look at models like, to use a similar example, 9 Inch Nails, we mentioned earlier. In that situation, they've released 2 albums under Creative Commons licenses, which allow for non-commercial remixing.